everybody. Welcome to Monday Morning Must Knows. My name is Merlin Rothfeld, and man, finally, we've been talking about it in our crypto program for so long about the possibility of Bitcoin breaking 100,000, and lo and behold, we did it. We broke through it and then came right back down. Bottom line is that milestone's been achieved, and for those of you who are in my crypto program, it's been pretty exciting. For those of you who aren't in that crypto program at Trading Academy, I would encourage you, click that link down below in the description, learn more about how cryptocurrency and digital assets may help you and your portfolio. Now let's start things off with what's happening for the upcoming trading week. Of course, we don't have to worry about Bitcoin anymore, but what do we have to worry about? Maybe a few earnings to speak of. Now, there are not a lot. As you can see on the screen here, it's actually quite minimal with regards to earnings this week. Only 291 companies. I say that, but there are some pretty nice names to speak of. You have Oracle on Monday, followed up by Toll Brothers, and C3AI will be reporting earnings as well. Going on to Tuesday, we've got AutoZone, GameStop, and Dave & Buster's. And then probably the biggest day of the week is going to be on Wednesday with Adobe Systems. I left it hanging there because you thought there'd be more, didn't you? No, well, we move on to Thursday. Thursday brings you Broadcom, Costco, Lennar, Jabil, and Sienna. And that, my friends, is your week of earnings. As always, check the earnings calendar because I did cherry pick some of the bigger, more notable names, but there may be some earnings that are in your portfolio reporting this week that are not listed here. So always check that earnings calendar. Now we shift our focus from the unemployment rate from last week to inflation for the upcoming trading week. Of course, we have the PPI and the CPI numbers coming out this week. As we get closer to that interest rate decision on December 18th, a lot of eyes pointing towards the inflationary data to see if the Fed, in fact, needs to be making some changes. So what do we have? Well, as you can see here, the CPI number will be coming out Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And look at this chart. You can see that the last four readings have been sideways, meaning 0.2. Of course, I've talked about this before where I said if we continue to get this sequence of 0.2 for 12 months, I'd put our inflation at 2.4%. Are we going to stay there? The answer is actually yes. The expectations are that we're going to come out at 0.2 yet again for the fifth consecutive month. However, because of that older data that's falling off the books, falling off that chart there, we are going to see the inflation number for CPI increase to 2.7 from 2.6. Now, of course, that's all the expectation at this point. That's what markets are pricing in. But wait, there's more. Shortly after that, we have the PPI, or Producer Price Index numbers. That will be on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can see it's been kind of choppy over the past 5 or 6 months. Right now, the expectations are that the PPI data will jump from 0.2% for the month up to 0.3%, so a slight increase there. So inflation on deck Tuesday and on Thursday. Now we shift our focus to central banks. No, not the United States. That will be next week on the 18th of December. However, there are a bevy of them. That's right, I used the word bevy today. 4 banks reporting this week. Should be pretty darn exciting. We'll start things off with the Reserve Bank of Australia. Now, they are expected to come out with no change on their rates. That's right, keeping it right at 4.35%. But that's one of the only ones that seems to remain unchanged. They will be reporting Monday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Next, the Bank of Canada. Our neighbors to the north, they are expected to cut 50 basis points from 3.75 to 3.25. That should happen Wednesday at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. And then we move back over to Europe for a twofer there. We start things off with the Swiss National Bank, who's expected to drop from 1% down to 0.75. Only a 25 basis point cut. That should be Thursday at 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And finally, the ECB, the European Central Bank, they will be making a rate announcement. Right now, the expectations are another 25 basis point cut, going from 3.4% down to 3.15. Again, that will be Thursday at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, what does this mean for you and me? Well, if you're trading spot forex markets and currencies, or you're trading futures currencies products, expect a lot of volatility, particularly in those 4 instruments. The Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Swiss franc, and the euro all should have pretty significant moves, particularly if any of that data deviates from the rates that are expected from analysts and market experts. Now, it could create wild swings. It could be non-eventful. Bottom line, this is about being prepared, having a plan in place, particularly if you're trading any of those markets, if you're trading the U.S. markets as well because of the inflation data, and of course, those earnings announcements. That, my friends, is your Monday Morning Must Knows. We'll see you next week.